Jumbo, I'm Ayuma, the story coach.
Jumbo, I'm Auma, the money coach.
Together, we bring you Her Money Story Africa,
a podcast where we are humanizing African women's money stories.
We believe every African woman knows something about money that she could teach or learn. Grab your drinks and snacks and let's talk money the African woman style.
Remember to subscribe to our podcast and share it with a friend.
Hey sis, Ayuma here. Today's money story is by Umi from Nairobi, who talks about divorce and money. Enjoy her story and look out for Auma's money tool on our reaction to this episode.
In 2018, my husband made a decision that would impact negatively on our finances. This was at a time when my contract at my workplace was coming to an end. This had been the trend all our life, resulting in me having to stretch my income to ensure the family was comfortable. At that point, having gone through it so many times and realizing that my work life had somewhat come to an end, I reflected on my life and that of my children. One was in his last year overseas studying, and the other two were, one was finishing first degree university and one high school. I decided I didn't want this to continue. A life of anxiety, fear, and a whole sense of lack. I made a decision to file for divorce, which was not easy being at the beginning of COVID. After 1 year, the divorce was granted and I received my certificate. The sense of relief, a weight lifted off my shoulders, was overwhelming. After not so long after that, we went house hunting with the kids. It was so much fun and exciting, and I could feel them, all of us feeling that we're getting a fresh start at life, a new beginning. On the day we received the house keys, we knew we had been given a new lease to life. I started enjoying my work more with a relaxed mind. And I realized for the first time that I was more creative, more stretching myself for myself. The money was not much more as we were renting and have been come from a family home. It wasn't about the money being so much more, but it felt abundant. I was free to plan around it without anxiety or unexpected expenses imposed on me. As a result of this, I have been able to grow my wellness business, take my personal fitness to a higher level by regularly attending marathons within Nairobi, out of Nairobi. I've also been able to start a new business in the creative field. And I'm planning on how to take it a notch higher by putting it on one of the digital platforms. In all, my growth has been amazing. A sense of youthfulness, physically and mentally. I'm living my life fully. The lesson I've learned is that life is not meant to be complicated, full of anxiety. Money lessons have been, when planned well, money can be enjoyed. Lack of this creates a scarcity mentality, which leads to not being able to plan for it well. And when you get it, because of the sense of anxiety, you just don't know where it goes, Fear of it, in sense of will it be enough, leads to poor planning. As one's mind is clouded, you have no clarity. I came across a saying that goes this way: you live life forward and learn it backwards. For me, the money lesson or the money tool that I would recommend or advise anybody who's going into marriage, anybody who's going to have a partner, a lifelong partner, or even business, you have to be financially equally yoked. What do I mean by that? You have to have a sit down to discuss, and more so in marriage or when you take a partner to as the love of your life. What do the two of you want your money to do for you? What are the goals that you've set for the two of you, your family, and discussions of where do we see ourselves 5 years? Right now we're here where we are earning this much. What does it look like 5 years ago? How do we stretch whatever we have right now? And the reason I'm saying this is because the disruption that made me decide after, well, with 3 children and in the various stages that you've had, it was about some 30 years, some plus 30 years. So for me to have made that decision wasn't easy. So the disruption that occurred was, and which was the norm, he took on expenses without consulting me. And I'm not talking about a one-day expense. I'm talking about an expense that would go on another 30 years. And I felt I didn't want to continue doing that because when I looked at my life at the stage of my contract ending, I had a vision of what we had done the most. This is how my life or our life looked like. Not again to go back to having to struggle about the finances.
This episode is brought to you by Pesa Savvy. Are you ready to take control of your finances? Unlock the secrets to financial success with the Pesa Savvy downloadable ebook, Mastering Your Money, the ultimate guide to financial wellness. In this comprehensive guide, you will explore the profound impact of your financial history on your money behavior. Learn why setting value-based financial goals is the key to unlocking your financial potential and achieving the life you desire. Discover the proven strategies for setting effective financial goals that drive lasting change. Don't let the financial stress hold you back anymore. Check out our show notes and download Mastering Your Money now and take control of your financial health. Available exclusively for our podcast listeners. Umi, it takes such courage to share that story. How do you feel after sharing it?
The word that comes to mind is lighter. Yeah, I feel so much lighter. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when you were going through the coaching, there was, this is something that I know I've had conversations with other women with, and they're like, no, there's no way, especially in the African setting. They're like, that's my business. And even if the woman is ready to share, it's like you have to consult the whole community, the families who will be affected and all that. And yet it's your story. It's your experience. So there's something special that you shared when I told you that, hey, this could actually make a difference in a younger woman's life or a woman who is where you were.
Yep.
How does that make you feel, like knowing that the story is out and it could potentially just make a difference in someone's life?
It's exciting for me because even in the nature of the work that I do, it's about improving or making a difference in somebody's life. And just to backtrack to what you said, that you've spoken to other women who couldn't do it because they wanted to consult with others. I didn't tell anybody because I felt I'm the one who walked this journey. I'm the one who wore the shoes. So I actually prepared by myself, and I would go quietly in my room and do that. Because when it's your story, you're the only one who knows where the pain was, not people around you. And even though they would get affected, they were always affected by how my life was not going right. If it meant I was having a bad day, they're the ones who picked me up. So either way, whether I consult them or not, they will be
They-
affected.
yeah.
They are part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm super excited to actually hear from you, Juliet, the money coach.
Yeah.
The
Do
money
you know,
coach.
there was a statement you made when you were telling your story, and I was like, that's it. You just said, what do you want money to do for you
Yeah.
as a unit? Yeah, that's something people don't talk about. And for you to have come out of it and saying that's like a necessary conversation, it's actually something I do with my clients individually.
Yeah.
Because before you even get into marriage, like you need to know what do I want money to do for me, and then when you get your partner, then you also ask them the same question. And then now as a unit, what do we want money to do for us? And that level of clarity is so important when you're coming together with money. And like you said, it's not necessary, even in business, like even in chamas, people need to ask, what do we want money to do for us? Because it's such it's core in anywhere where two people or more people are coming together and you're trying to go in a certain direction. So we must get a shared vision so that
Yeah.
the planning and all of those other things makes a lot more sense.
And just to add on to that, right now, because of COVID, I have my young men, people in the house. And because we sat down and discussed the whole money, our expenses, what we want to do, can you imagine that just having that conversation has made it so much easier in the way we are leading our lives.
Nice.
There's no anxiety, there's no unexpectedness of something going wrong that is money related.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the normal emergencies that come up in life, but on a day-to-day, it's so much smoother. And like I said before, it's not that we millions, no.
Yeah.
It's that little money that we're getting that we're able to sit down and say, look, this and that and that. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you think that there was, like, if you look back for yourself in your past and your experience with money before even marriage, like, do you feel like you and your partner had like differing experience? Like, did you ever talk about how he grew up with money, how you grew up with money, and how kind of your behaviors are where they ended up being?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
We just got together and went on.
Yeah.
One is used to luxury things, not thinking about tomorrow. The other one is not.
Yeah.
So we never.
You never.
We
Yeah.
didn't, yeah.
Yeah. So I part of now that getting joint vision is also just understanding people's money stories,
Yeah.
because you tend to get more to understand more about why they behave the way they behave. And it's funny how when we have such diverse stories and we don't money stories are just not talked about, which is why this what you're
That's why we're
doing.
here.
What you're doing, what you're sharing, and why this podcast exists is so important, so that we can hear the diversity of stories and use that as strengths in and of themselves, even as tools. The story is a tool to empower people, and so and encourage people to keep sharing their stories, because they are just kept so hidden, and yet there are lessons there's information for growth, and empowerment, which is so necessary.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I actually feel so empowered just by listening to your story, because, most of the time, especially, in I don't know about the rest of Africa, but, in Kenya, we have this culture of, during when the woman is about to get married, that's when people do like the bridal showers. And then suddenly you're given like this overload information about, oh, this is how you take care of a house. Oh, this is how you take care of your husband. Oh, then this is how you take care of your money. Oh, and make sure you hide some money for yourself. Like, why am I hiding money? Suddenly you're being introduced to marriage from a limited and a lack mentality, where you're like, you must hide from your husband some money, which means already there's some sort of, when you're talking about being equally yoked, it comes with being transparent.
Yeah.
So why all of a sudden are you being told as a woman by your aunties and mothers and all of these women telling you make sure you hide money for yourself? Already you start asking yourself, then is this the right thing to get into, you know? Because that's like, Juliet, I learned this from you. You said financial infidelity is when you don't share information with your partner about things to do with finances. So I've learned from Juliet about financial infidelity. I learned from you about financial being equally yoked. You know, people think that these things are just limited and specific to like spiritual stuff, but it's actual practical when it comes to finances, you know. And I think even researchers share that, you know, the top reasons, the top 3 reasons why marriages actually break is lack of communication, money, and unresolved conflict, you know. So we already see that money is at the top, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing it's because of this and being unequally yoked financially, and also some kind of financial infidelity, which is actually proposed and promoted by culture, or like in these baby showers, not baby showers, they're called bridal showers, you know. And even more show up during baby showers, even more infidelity, you know. I'm just curious, like for the younger Umi who was dating, what would you advise her? Like, let's say you're at a chama or at a somewhere, and then there's this younger Umi. She's just over there looking cool, looking fly. She's like, ooh, you know, I started dating this guy. It's getting serious. You know, what would you advise that younger Umi?
Also, I'm curious, like, did you hear that advice that you should put money aside for yourself? Was that something you had?
Maybe perhaps I should have.
Somebody
should have told
They
me
were onto something. They knew something.
Nobody told me that, Auma. Yeah. Younger Umi. What I would advise her is to stand by what she knows, but to stand by what she knows as far as her money is concerned. Our money, to be strong about that. Because I wasn't. And not to say it was all bad. It wasn't all bad, because our commitment to the money, in terms of my money, his money, there's nobody's money. We were very open with that, to the point that, which I would not tell young Umi to do that, if he needed to access money, I would give him my ATM. I knew the PIN number. I knew his. So we were very good like that. But we did not have that discussion. Yeah. Our money is in one pot.
Yes.
But how are we going to manage it?
Yes.
So young Umi needs to know it's nice to have somebody you have trust in each other, but let's have that written down so that everybody knows these are the rules, this is the structure of what we want to do. Yeah. Because there's nothing that beats trust in the other person. Because if I'm not going to trust him, if I'm going to listen to those aunties, means, and which is, I guess a lot of women are doing that, I suppose, going by what you said, Auma, they are having the discussions, but there's an account that the partner doesn't know about. Yeah. And then now, where does it stop?
Yeah.
Where does that stop?
Yeah.
That infidelity of you doing things behind somebody's back. No. Where does it stop?
Yeah.
So from the set go, it has to be that we discuss it.
Yeah. That's really powerful. And I think it also informs women before you think about marriage. It's not just about, the cute decor and the photos and the honeymoon. It's preparing yourself by having that agency and having that conversation. Because if a guy can't handle that conversation about money, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Like, what are we doing going on all these dates and eating whatever and booing and baying? I'm like, what is that if you can't handle a conversation about money?
Yeah.
Because marriage is, my goodness, marriage will take you through some stuff. Like, just seeing some kind of things that my parents have gone through, you know, like how do you deal with illnesses?
Yeah.
How do you deal with children?
Yeah.
Or an unexpected, let's say, fine, all children are beautiful, but some kids just come out of the woodworks like you are not planning for this child.
Yes, yeah.
Then how do you handle
Handle
that?
that,
You know,
yeah,
how do you
yeah.
handle in-laws? Does the mother-in-law have a say as to how you're spending your money and which schools your kids
You're
go to?
going to.
You know, I think it's
Yeah.
so important, and I think women, more than just falling in love or being in love and enjoying that sort of like fog, I think it's very important to think logically and protect yourself by intentionally having these conversations at dating phase. In
Yeah.
fact, you know, I did some good dating programs
Yeah.
because in this world,
Yeah.
it's different. It's a completely different scene that we're dealing with. And so what one dating coach taught us is that the word dating is data collection. It's not that when you see this person and you're dating, it's like forever. I'm seeing the wedding dress. I've already chosen the theme song. It's like before you even think about the aisle, you need to gather the data that you need as a woman so that gives you security, because every single woman craves for security.
Yeah.
And that security, it's like you need to ask yourself, which questions will help me feel secure in this relationship, will help me feel secure in this marriage. And what she also challenged us to think is that this guy, the way he is right now, as I'm dating him, the way this guy is right now, his money behaviors, whatever his outlook is in life, if nothing ever changes,
Yeah.
when we get into marriage, will I be happy? But furthermore, if I have a son or a child who's exactly like him, does that give me some kind of comfort and joy, or would I be like, whoo, I'm creating more damage to the world, you know?
Yeah.
So I think those are important, empowering questions women need to ask themselves when they're still dating,
Yeah.
that then protects us in situations of marriage, because that is lifelong.
Yeah.
And a
It
lifelong
is.
partnership can literally ruin you,
Yeah.
or it can build you.
Can build
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Sometimes, because I do work with couples as well in coaching, and I realize that some of the things that we are having to deal with are things that could have been avoided if they had proper money conversations before, getting
Wow.
married. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just simple as those things that demonstrate habit and paying attention to behavior. Sometimes we're just in cloud nine and we're not paying attention to the things that we ought to be paying attention to, because they're leaving clues behind, but we are not seeing them.
Yeah.
Because of your lack of intentionality to actually see the clues. Yeah. And so I highly encourage, and that's how I ended up creating, because then the question becomes, so we keep being told, talk about money, but how do we talk about money?
Yeah.
How do I talk about money?
How do we talk about money?
Yeah, there's
Auma?
there are some questions. There are some questions that, are good for a first date. Money questions, like you can bring money questions on a first date, a year into the relationship, but like as the relationship develops, and then there's some mandatory, at that point when you're engaged and you're getting married, there's some mandatory questions you should ask, and that's how I ended up creating actually the conversation cards, because it helps. There are questions you can
I'm
ask, and
getting
it
those
makes
for my next date.
it releases the pressure of, we are at a date now, tell me what you earn. No, it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's like there are questions that give you cues of somebody's history with money that then helps you to know where their mind is and how they landed there. Yeah. But I have a question for you, Umi. I don't know if you have observed whether in your kids, do you think like the experience they saw with their dad with money and yours, like because you're different, what do you think they've picked up from both of you?
Totally damaged.
Oh, wow.
Oh no.
Because I see in them there's not that thought of, maybe now in a little way it's coming in, but there's not that thought of putting some away or saving, or I've gotten this lump sum of money, let me blow it. Yeah. they're not healthy.
Yeah.
They're not healthy.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not. They're not
Yeah.
at all.
And
Yeah.
that's what we should pay attention, because
Pay attention to.
we transfer who we are, or we transfer our behaviors, because really that's what they see.
Yeah.
The especially in their formative years, 1 to 10, 1 to
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
they're just kind of collecting all the information, and you don't realize
Yeah.
that they're
True.
doing it.
Yeah, they do.
And it
They
becomes
do.
really their truth. It becomes
Yeah.
their mindset. It becomes how they end up thinking about money. Yeah.
But there is hope.
There
Really,
is.
yeah,
Like,
I've met you ladies. There
Yeah.
is hope.
Yeah.
you
There's
shared
lots
your
of
story,
it.
yeah.
Your story. And for me, it would be such a joy if I know your daughter already knows what happened, but if she gets to hear, this is what it was like for me.
Yeah.
And this is what I learned. And when I was dating, these are the questions I could have asked. Before I got into that relationship, this is what I would have done. And I think that's the greatest gift, because I don't think we are here to be like superheroes for everyone in
No,
this
we're not.
this whole world. But I think you can be that for your daughter, and I think that's all it matters. That's all that matters.
All that matters.
There
Yeah,
is
true.
hope. So
Yeah.
thank you guys. Thank you so much, Umi, for sharing with us your story. I'm curious, dear listeners, please share with us. Have you gone through a situation in your life that warranted you having to neutralize a partnership? It could be a business partnership, but it could also be a marital partnership because of being unequally yoked financially. Please let us know what that experience was like, and let us know what lesson you learned. What did it cost you, and what did it gain you?
that was such an amazing story, Umi. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, for trusting us with your story, even to share your story with our community. And I just want to talk about something that you mentioned in your story, which is the word financial compatibility. Somebody somewhere called it financial chemistry. And it's really a function of some of the things that you can do before you get yourself into that place of marriage, and then together, but also as an individual. So the money tool I want to talk about today is a point of introspection, really, in two facets. First is a couple of questions that you can ask yourself to figure out what your behavior with money is and where it came from. Yeah, because that's necessary, because that's where you are right now. And if you've never really questioned, are my money habits healthy? Am I dealing with money in a way that is respectful to money? Yeah, and in a way that could bring problems with somebody that I engage with or I get yoked to, both in a marital setup, in a business setup, in a chama setup, in any way, because your behaviors will have an impact on somebody else's life. So you need to be conscious of what are they, and are they healthy, and are they not? Yeah. So one of the questions that has really changed people's perspective, or rather it releases a lot of awareness for people, is what is a memory that you have that is directly or indirectly linked to money? What is a best memory that you have that is directly linked or indirectly linked to money? That's the first question that you want to ask yourself. And then the second question is, what is the worst memory that you have that is directly linked or indirectly linked to money? Why are these two questions important is because the memory that will come is okay, but what I want you to identify even more is the feeling and the emotion that comes from that memory. Because oftentimes the memories, the feelings that come from the best memory, people often say things like joy and happiness and achievement and proud. But I want you to be very conscious about what is your memory and what is the feeling from that memory, and then look again on the other side, what is the worst memory and what is the feeling from that memory, because then people on the other side, it's usually around shame and disappointment and anger and those kind of feelings. Why these two things are important? Because money is a rational thing. Like money is like, it has a principle. If we say 1 + 1 is 2, 1 + 1 is 2. If I say put here 10K every single month and 10%, at the end of the 10 years, this is what you'll have. That's how money works. It's very predictable in its nature. Now, because the fact that we are human beings and we are created with emotions, it is the emotions that we have that come, and then we break the principle that money has set up. We break it with our behaviors, and those behaviors are a function of our emotions. So you need to not just identify the memory, identify the emotion, because you'll realize that whenever you have to make a financial decisions, your knee-jerk reactions will be coming from those emotions if you're not conscious to just sit down and ask yourself, wait a minute, why am I deciding this instead of that? You are likely to your decision will lean more towards the feeling from the memory, from the best memory, because you want to feel that way. So any money decision that makes you lean that side, you will take it. Any money decision that makes you run away from the worst memory, you'll run away from it. And those two emotions might not always be good for you because they are not rational. It's the emotion, yeah? And they start affecting your behavior, and they influence them to you. It influences you to do certain things that might not be actually good for you. Neither is it good for your money. And so when you bring other people into that life, because they don't have the same memories, they don't have the same feelings, they don't understand actually why you think the way you think and why you behave the way you behave. So that is for you to identify, and even in your potential partner. Actually, those are two questions you could actually ask them, and you could ask them on the first date. Actually, those are good questions. Now, on the other flip side is, now once you're thinking about actually going on a certain direction in permanently or in a long-term nature, then you know that your money is going to be conjoined. You're going to bring together your money. Now that's where another level of compatibility is required, in the sense of being able to understand, what exactly do I want money to do for me? And that's a function of your values, right? So values tend to represent what we think is important, what matters, what is admirable in other people. And our values, they influence how you talk to people, the work you do. It influences how our entire life is shaped up. Somebody who values family and decides to start a family, their life looks a certain way compared to somebody who values education and decide, we're going to go for education. Their life will also look a certain way. And so your value system is shaping your life. So when you're thinking about, what do I want money to do for me, first ask yourself, what are my values? Because the values will shape what your life looks like. Like, imagine identifying your values as designing the life that you want to live. And then because the values have then shaped the life, what money comes to do is to fund the life that has been now created by your value system. But oftentimes when you start talking about money, we start from a very superficial level. So you don't even know, like, at the core of my existence, what exactly do I want money to do for me? How do I want money to serve me? As an individual, these are questions you need to know. As you get into marriage, it's a question you need to know for yourself, for your partner, and then together. So what are the values that we share? And then what kind of life are we going to create together? So that when money comes, when your money comes, when my money comes, it's going to help us to do these things that we have already identified. And then these things that you have identified, they inform your financial goals, and your financial goals inform your budget. It just creates the structure and the system that is necessary for you as an individual to trust your partner, and to make sure that you're actually moving towards the same direction. I'm a big believer that transparency is necessary. It's a must in marriage. Like, you cannot share bodies and not share money information. Like, we trust each other with such intimate parts of our lives, and then money is where we're going to draw the line. No. But like you said, it's important for you to have that conversation at the beginning and say, where are we going, first of all? And then now we are open with each other, so that because we have this shared vision, we are accountable to each other for the direction that we want to take together. Yeah, so those two tools are supposed to help you as an individual, but will also help you as a couple, if you're planning to get married, if you're already in marriage, even your first year of marriage, because that's where also a lot of some of these things pop up. You get information that you didn't know before. Go through an exercise where you ask yourself this. I think I've said 4 things, and then create a financial plan from there.
Did you love today's episode? Share it with a friend and stay tuned for more stories. Subscribe now to our podcast and follow us on our socials on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Her Money Story Africa.